Welcome back, everybody. Episode 3 of Ravenloft. This time we are working on finalizing the construction of the actual castle, finishing up some of the towers and building out some of the walls. Then we will also be working on the landscaping to finish that up. Right now I am just bringing up the towers towards their final heights. The skinny one gets a roof design, just kind of planning the arc and the height of that out in this little segment, and then we'll skin the actual roof in the material that we need it to be. The way I do these is just kind of making an arc by eye, and then stepping up each level and doing a hollow cylinder command to meet whatever that arc needs to be on the outside. It does leave a couple of gaps which you have to come back and fill. You can see a couple of the corners there that misses out. That's easy enough to do. Then you can either replace the material or you can just kind of cap the material, depending. In this case I capped some of it with stairs, I believe, and replaced the actual parts of material, and then smoothed it with the additional stair pieces when necessary. The majority of the castle uses the nether stair block from the netherwood. I forget what the name of that wood is. The images of the castle have a kind of purple tiled roof, at least one of the reference images I'm using, which is a kind of cool looking roof. And the best way to achieve that is with the purple wood. There are some gold spires and stuff added on here. This is the larger of the towers. There's some bedrooms and some other guest rooms and things in this tower. But this is the roof of that. And then a bridge which connects across to the main tallest tower, at least in terms of staircase, which has the heart at the top of the staircase. Then we're coming out working on the towers at the front of the castle there. These ones just kind of open, more kind of a defensive archery position more than anything else. And they just flank the entrance of the castle. Minor corrections to the walls and the walkway on this section as well, just with how the tower is sitting and centering that, and then adding the minor corrections into the bedroom and bathroom itself. Then we start working on the walls of the tower, just kind of filling those out, getting everything blocked in. Now that the skeleton is done, it's time to kind of add the skin necessary, the skin being the walls and the roof. Right now the walls are just temporary stone, and I'll come back and add some detailing to those. But starting working on the roof in the central area, and also building up the tower, the additional archery tower on the other side of the entrance there. Each of these clips is about 3 minutes long, and they each represent about an hour building session. Some of them are a little longer, about an hour and a half. All in all, this section of the castle here, this video took about 6 hours to do. Then we're just extending that roof out. This is kind of the main roof of the castle, which goes over a bunch of the castle. Then we start working on the bell tower, I believe, in just a second. Just kind of bringing that roof up to where it needs to be to meet that bell tower. This tower sits right above the chapel. And then there is a slightly smaller tower to the side of it, which we'll start working on in a second. That one is just kind of like a little treasure room. I think it's behind a secret, if I remember. And these getting that same kind of purple roof as well that we've been using in the bulk of the castle already. The main roof extends all the way to the front of the castle, and there's a couple of different, not roof types, but roof orientations which kind of meet up. We start working on those now, going over the bedroom and the bathroom. It's a relatively simple roof design, and just using the copy-paste commands to extend the design out there, merging the two roofs together, and merging the tower down into the roof as well. There is a second roof to the left, which runs parallel to the roof we've already done. Takes a minute just to kind of get the design right, and it's still not right at the end of this clip. I come back and fix it later. But just kind of lining it up so for the right height, for the right depth, how far it comes down, how long the eave is. And again, just using copy-paste. And there's a small section of roof which kind of links those two together for no particular reason. In this section, we start working on the chapel itself. We're just extending those towers down. They don't have to come quite down quite that low, but to work on the chapel roof, just kind of finding out where they align. The chapel roof itself was very tricky to build. It's about 4 or 5 different roof designs all kind of merging together. I don't know if it's more an issue of the perspective of the drawing or the scale that I can work out in Minecraft or the alignment issues that we might have introduced at some point while building this. I was satisfied with the design. It's not quite as accurate as it should be, but it gets the idea across and it looks okay, certainly at the scale of Minecraft allowed. There is kind of this large sweeping roof that has like a really wild curve to it, which goes up. That meets this kind of additional kind of dome, extended dome kind of. It's not really a tower. It's a dome and then extended walls around. The wall itself, that part made out of glass. They have kind of stained glass in them. We'll come out and change the glass. Right now it's just to kind of differentiate it so I can visually see what is the castle and what is that tower roof part. There's also 2 additional domes which sit at the front, along with more of a regular sloped roof which kind of extends to the side, which are already done there. And of course all these roofs are different colors in the image I'm using, so we're using a mixture of, I believe those are tiled purple blocks, maybe? I'm not too familiar with all the new block names in Minecraft. And then there's another roof on the front and a kind of flat piece between those 2 dome parts. This section to the right here is a little tricky, and I'm still not happy with its construction because of the wall that kind of cuts through this area and extends to the outer walls of the castle. It kind of cuts right through the roof. There's also, in the reference images I'm using, not a clear picture of what that section of the roof looks like. It's kind of behind the rest of the roof of the chapel. So it's very much a guessing game. I'll come back and redo it at some point. I'm still not quite that happy with it. Then we're doing the roof of the servant quarters as well. Again, not one that I can easily see in the images that I'm using. The map, the official map, I think it is. So I just kind of guessed that. And again, it's subject to change. The wall itself, which extends out to the castle, has kind of an arch section. That's kind of what I was planning out there. Then it's very much a case of just blocking in the rest of the walls of the castle. There is a lot of flying around in this clip because we're just going round and round and round and round the castle. Kind of some wild camera movements to do here. And you can see the outer walls of the castle, based on where the wall is right now. Needs to be raised up a couple of blocks. Again, not sure if that was a issue added in by my calculations of feet, or if it was a kind of Minecraft scale issue or an issue with the drawing. I realized at some point of filling in the walls, I was using set commands. I must have selected the wrong blocks, but I ended up filling in the entire servant quarters with stone, so I just fixed that and recreated the floor there. Then the secret passageway, which goes up to the main tower, the big spiral staircase. Just kind of doing lots of cleanup, adding some torches for mob stuff and whatnot. Then moving to the front of the castle and blocking out these walls. The front of the castle still needs some work, just to get the right kind of underneath slopes. You can kind of see how there's so many overhangs in this section of the castle. And indeed, with the wall built, the stairs leading up to the throne room kind of stick out a little bit. Eventually I'll come back and slope those in a later episode. That's an overview of the castle, kind of all blocked in. And you can kind of begin to get the scope of how the castle actually looks. Also going around and removing some of the foundation on the outside of the castle, as we don't need that anymore. Or the outside of the main keep, at least, right now. Then it's a case of putting the balustrades, I can't remember the technical term of it, the walls, the outer walls on the walkways and the towers. That's just using some andesite, polished andesite, and andesite slabs as well. Just kind of working out what I want it to look like and how to line up all the gaps. I believe I come back and make a second pass, and instead of just doing half slabs on every other, it is a full block and a half slab, just to add a actual lip along every edge. And then finally just kind of filling in this little wall section here that's kind of a little hidden away, tucked behind the chapel. Next, we're doing some detailing of some of the walls. In the reference image, I'm using the upper sections of these walls here, just beneath the roof, is kind of a wood-framed white section, presumably made out of some kind of plaster material. I think I just ended up using white wool, maybe white concrete, I can't quite remember. And also fixing that roof so it lines up a little better now that I am putting in the wood section, just noticing that issue there. And then extending the roof out slightly just to kind of overhang the wooden beams as well. Then it's a case of filling in some of these gates. These are just solid, or rusted metal gates in terms of the description. This one over here is a kind of a wooden thing. I think it's actually open, and I do leave it open. I don't think there's a description of any kind of blockage in it. Same with this one here. This one kind of leads out to the stables as well, and then quickly copy and paste the other gate from across the way onto that one there. Just briefly testing out some wall designs, not quite happy with any of those. We'll revisit that later on today. Then it's a case of removing a lot of the foundations on the outside, or our grid references on the outside, because it's time to start working on the landscaping, the actual mountain which the castle sits upon. This started off as being just a wand making sand spheres so it kind of settled correctly. The server did not like that. And the editing software I use for in the replay mod didn't like it particularly much either. Eventually come out and just encase the bulk of it in just a stone slab or a stone cube. Then using the sand one technique around the outside just to kind of get this natural feel of the mountain, so it kind of slopes and the sand settles in kind of a slopey fashion. The cliffs itself, as far as I'm aware, are quite steep, which is kind of what I was going for. The rendering just doesn't like it at all. The server wasn't happy. Nothing was happy. This took absolutely forever and was not very enjoyable. So we'll just pan up and just kind of look at the castle and forget that that ever happened. Then just doing some final touches on the cliff face itself, just kind of finalizing in some of the details and bringing in the walls so they kind of sit into the cliff face as they should be. The cliff itself is not going to be sand. In a second here we'll run a naturalization command on it. That turns it into a layer of grass, 3 layers of dirt, and the rest stone all the way down to whatever selection we naturalized. You can see that kind of finalized look there. I might randomize some of the dirt if I can. I'm not entirely sure if there's an easy command to do that. I don't like that it's just a kind of... It does 3. I wish it did a range from 2 to 4 perhaps. Then we'll just bring up the perimeter walls to their final height where they're meant to be. And once that's done, we can put the andesite border along the edge of the walls there as well. And that really ties the wall and the keep together. Then we can kind of just layer out the stone along the top of the wall, just kind of flattening that entire section. And then it's a case of just laying out the similar kind of wall topping along the andesite. I really can't remember the name of that. It's frustrating me. It's not balustrades. I don't think it is. Anyway. And that goes around on the inside and the outside of the perimeter wall there. Finally, we revisit the idea of the wall texturing. I ended up going with a, I believe 80% stone, 10% andesite, or maybe 18% andesite, and 2% light grey concrete powder. The powder just kind of blends in slightly better than the actual light grey concrete itself. And this goes upon every single wall. Every wall in the castle gets this. And we can kind of finally see how the castle as a whole is built. Obviously the interior isn't designed yet, but we get the kind of imposing look of the castle proper. And we can come down to sea level and get kind of the look of it as a imposing object. I would like to thank you very much for watching this episode of Ravenloft. Next time we will be working on detailing the interiors and maybe working on the kind of landscaping and pathway leading up to the castle itself. If you would like to join this server, there are some details in the description below. Otherwise, have a good day. I'll see you next time.